On my wedding day, my fiancé eloped with my cousin. Then, the wealthiest man in Havenwood proposed to me in public. 3 years later, I discovered he only pursued me to make Olivia Chen, the one he truly loves, happy. I faked my death and left, but he tried to marry my corpse. Now, I've found true love in Dubai, yet he's come back to pester me. And my cousin even threw sulfuric acid at me, paralyzing him when he saved me. How did this ridiculous drama all happen to me? On the day of my wedding, my fiancé live-streamed his proposal to my cousin. They eloped on the spot for love, leaving me a universally known jilted bride. Feeling lost and helpless, David Carter, the wealthiest man in Havenwood, walked onto the stage and knelt on one knee before me. Sarah, it was love at first sight for me at the Crescent auction house. Will you marry me? I politely declined, but he pursued me relentlessly from then on. On my birthday, he even spent a fortune taking out billboards all over the city for a grand declaration of love for me. 3 years later, I finally accepted his proposal, becoming known as the woman who had saved the galaxy. But the night before the engagement party, I overheard him talking to his friends. Boss Carter made a grand gesture for the woman he loves, dropping $10 billion to buy a building for his first love. But as a friend, I have to tell you, Olivia Chen has already married your wife's ex-boyfriend. David Carter's voice was soft. As long as Olivia is doing well now, I'm willing to die for her. So, he pursued me to make Olivia Chen happy. My heart turned to ash, and I decided to completely disappear from his world. Well, Carter, you'll have to make sure your people don't say anything careless to Sarah Miller. David Carter's tone was confident. They wouldn't dare reveal even a hint of information about Olivia in front of Sarah Miller. I froze at the doorway. My hand gripped the thermos tightly. Tomorrow was our engagement party. Just 3 hours ago, David Carter had specifically called to say he was busy with company matters and told me to get some sleep. Worried about him, I had specially made some nourishing soup to bring him, intending to give him a surprise. Instead, the surprise turned into a shock. It turned out I had been living in a beautiful dream woven by David Carter all along. The wonderful moments we had shared played over and over in my mind like a reel. When the city was covered in billboards declaring his love for me, he said, "Sarah, this is just the first step in pursuing you. When we travel the world," he said, "Sarah, I'll take you to see the whole world." When he knelt on one knee by the sea to propose to me, he said, "Sarah, I love you, marry me." Things in front of me became blurred and indistinct. I reached up and wiped my face with my sleeve, only to realize I had been crying without knowing it. Ding dong. I opened my phone. It was a client my senior colleague had recommended, wanting me to go to Dubai to do financial planning for him. Before, I would have definitely refused. But now, the conversation in the office stopped. A deathly silence fell over the surroundings. I was caught between a rock and a hard place. Suddenly, a nervous-looking woman walked out from the side. It was David Carter's secretary. "Madam, when did you arrive?" I gave a bitter laugh, lifting the thermos to show her. "Just got here. Came to bring some nourishing soup for Carter." She breathed a sigh of relief and opened the door to welcome me in. When David Carter saw me, he jogged over and took the thermos from my hand. "It's cold outside, what if you catch a cold from the wind?" The secretary handed him the AC remote. David Carter turned up the heat and found a blanket for me to drape over myself. Wrapped in the blanket, I huddled in the corner of the sofa. Even though it was warm around me, I still felt cold and trembling. David Carter's friends A.N.D. The secretary smiled, said hello, and left. Every time they smiled like that before, I thought they were teasing David Carter, this big boss who would humble himself to cater to me. It wasn't until now that I understood. They were laughing at me. David Carter looked tense. "Were you frozen by the wind?" I shook my head. "No. You drink the soup first." He looked slightly surprised, then downed the soup from the thermos in one gulp. His amber eyes showed a hint of anxiety, and his normally pale lips were flushed red from the hot soup. David Carter held up the thermos, looking for praise. "See, I finished it." David Carter led me to the lounge, saying gently, "My baby worked hard." Lying on the large bed in his lounge, David Carter rested his chin on top of my head, holding me tightly in his arms. Still cold? I softly hummed. I don't know how long passed before I heard his steady breathing. David Carter's phone screen lit up. Curiously, I reached for the phone and saw it was a text message from his assistant. I entered the password, but it showed as incorrect. David Carter's phone password had always been our birthdays combined. I flipped the phone over and looked at the back. There was no trace of the scratch I had made. This was a different phone. My heart sank. I tried entering the password again. Our birthdays combined didn't work. Adding the engagement date didn't work either. Olivia Chen's face suddenly flashed in my mind. On a whim, I entered David Carter's birthday plus Olivia Chen's birthday. It unlocked successfully. I scoffed. It seemed this phone belonged to Olivia Chen. In the messaging app chat window, the assistant said, "Boss Carter, the deed for the beachfront building has been drafted." I opened the file, and Olivia Chen's name was clearly written in the recipients section. The chat history also mentioned an estate, a mansion, and a limited edition sports car. This beachfront building, valued at $10 billion, was just the least remarkable of the many gifts David Carter had given Olivia Chen. I scrolled back to the beginning of the chat history. The first gift deed was his entire estate left to Olivia Chen upon his death. The page stayed open for too long, and the screen went black like a mirror. It reflected my vacant eyes and red, swollen nose from crying. I was a top-tier financial planner in Havenwood, well known in the industry. After leaving my company, I was responsible for managing David Carter's assets. Yet I didn't even know that half of his fortune was going to someone else. It was utterly ironic. I lit up the screen again, and a diamond certificate in the chat box caught my eye. It was the very ring I had fallen in love with at first sight when we were choosing wedding rings. At the time, he had said with a stiff expression, "My baby Sarah deserves a bigger, flashier diamond ring. This one is too plain." The sales assistants nearby also praised me for being lucky to find a man so willing to spend money on me. So, I went along with what he wanted and chose a different diamond ring as my wedding ring. I fumbled for my phone and opened Olivia Chen's social media feed. 3 days ago, she had posted a live photo. There was no caption. In the photo, she was wearing that very plain diamond ring on her hand. I played the live photo repeatedly. Amidst the background noise, David Carter's voice was faintly audible. "I knew you'd like it." So, he had intended to give this ring to Olivia Chen. I gripped my phone tightly, my fingertips turning white from the force. Coming back to my senses, I put David Carter's phone back. I booked a flight to Dubai for tomorrow morning. I was leaving Havenwood, disappearing from David Carter's world. The next morning, David Carter left early. The secretary came in with toiletries to wake me up. Boss Carter had an urgent business trip last night. He said the engagement party would be postponed for 2 days. I rubbed my eyes, feeling utterly exhausted. Okay, just leave the things there. My phone chimed with a notification from the social media feed. I tapped it open. Olivia Chen had posted a video. In the video, she was wearing a bikini, fishing on the yacht deck. A man's arms wrapped around her slender waist from behind. I recognized the watch on the man's wrist at a glance. It was the birthday gift I had given David Carter last year. The IP address showed Thailand. A dense, throbbing pain surged in my heart. It turned out he postponed the engagement just to accompany the woman he loved on a fishing trip. After a quick wash-up, I took a taxi back to the mansion to pack. Just as I arrived, the brand representative delivering sample wedding dresses came in right after me. "Ms. Olivia Chen, Mr. Carter's pre-ordered wedding dress has arrived." I was stunned for a moment and looked at the bag containing the gown. It clearly stated MN Bridal Collection High-End Custom. The wedding dress David Carter had taken me to the MN headquarters to pick out was merely a limited edition runway model. The difference between these two wasn't just the craftsmanship, it was the heart behind them. I gave a bitter laugh and said, "I'm sorry, you have the wrong person. I'm not Olivia Chen." The other person immediately understood and apologized profusely, looking embarrassed. After seeing them off, I happened to catch a glimpse of David Carter returning with Olivia Chen out of the corner of my eye. "Cousin Sarah, I came to see you, and I happened to run into cousin-in-law at the door, so we came together. You don't mind, do you? She deliberately emphasized the last few words, you don't mind. David Carter frowned slightly, likely annoyed by Olivia Chen calling him cousin-in-law. I responded with a smile. It's fine. I was leaving anyway, what good would it do to mind? David Carter didn't love me. Not wanting to waste time with them, I turned and went UPS. Tears. I packed my things and opened the bedroom door. I saw David Carter standing outside the door. He held a large ruby necklace in front of me. An apology gift for my baby. Be good, don't be angry, okay? He thought I was ignoring him because I was upset about the engagement party being postponed. But he didn't know I was truly tired of this pretense of loving me so deeply. Seeing I didn't speak, David Carter unclasped the necklace and put it around my neck. The company is holding a celebration today. Come with me. I ignored him and pushed my suitcase forward. No, I have something to do. I need to go out. Baby, you don't want your husband to have another woman on his arm, do you? Besides, many big names from the industry will be there this time, you'll definitely like it. I hesitated and released my suitcase. Flying to Dubai this time, I might never come back. This would be a good chance to see my former colleagues. I nodded gently. David Carter happily summoned the makeup artists and styling team upstairs. An hour later, I came out wearing the latest high-end, limited edition gown with a train, the ruby necklace David Carter gave me around my neck. When David Carter saw me, his eyes lit up, and he opened the car door. Baby, you're so beautiful. Olivia Chen lifted the hem of her dress and bumped into me. Cousin Sarah, my gown is too big to fit in this car. How about we switch seats? The large ruby on her neck reflected a glare that hurt my eyes. I looked down at the one on my own neck. It looked like it was made from scraps. I said coldly, my dress is also very big. Olivia Chen whined petulantly. Cousin Sarah, I get carsick, I just want to sit in a roomier car. After saying that, she pouted and looked tenderly at David Carter. David Carter looked at me with indulgence, but his hand was behind his back, comforting her. I scoffed inwardly, watching their interaction in silence. David Carter took my hand and coaxed, Bab. Why, be good. Since cousin Olivia gets carsick, it's fine if we switch. His tone was full of tenderness, as if all his love was in his eyes. Yet the words he spoke were in defense of another woman. I gave a faint smile, lifted the hem of my gown, and walked towards the car behind. This was better. At least I didn't have to watch him pretend anymore. At the venue, Olivia Chen held a wine glass and mocked me. Cousin Sarah, you're so sloppy. At least iron such a wrinkled gown before wearing it out. I ignored her and turned to pick out a cupcake from the dessert table. I hadn't eaten since morning, so filling my stomach was more important. She continued relentlessly. Do you think I only steal your man? I took a bite of the cupcake and looked at her in confusion. Olivia Chen sneered. Just wait. The real show is about to begin. The host announced that Olivia Chen had won the Outstanding Performance Award. She gave me a haughty glance and walked towards the stage. To receive this award, I must first thank our great boss, Mr. David Carter. Olivia Chen stood on stage, bright and lively, exchanging glances with David Carter. Everyone in the audience's eyes shifted between the three of us. They looked at me with even more pity. On the screen above, a reel of Olivia Chen's past achievements began to play. Achieving a financial planning return rate exceeding 20% for a client named Anderson was truly an industry miracle. The audience below gasped. Wow, Olivia Chen is that good. The last person that good was Boss Carter's fiancée, Sarah the Great, right? Sarah the Great? Her highest was only 15% before. Olivia Chen is 20%. She stole my man, I didn't care. Because any man who can be stolen is not worth keeping. But she stole the achievements I had worked so hard for. I couldn't tolerate that. I rushed onto the stage, grabbed the microphone from the host, and asked, exceeding the industry average, achieving a 20% return rate, on behalf of the public, I'd like to ask Ms. Olivia, how did you do it? Olivia Chen hadn't expected me to come on stage and question her, regardless of appearances. This. She stammered, unable to speak, and looked to David Carter for help. He immediately stepped forward and said in a low voice, "That's personal information, it's not convenient to disclose." David Carter kept signaling with his eyes for me to get off the stage. I gave a bitter laugh and continued my questioning. "Then, Olivia Chen, do you know what industry Mr. Anderson's main assets are in? Do you know his full name? Do you know how he made his fortune?" A barrage of questions left Olivia Chen flustered. "Cousin Sarah, are you suspecting me?" She finished speaking disjointedly, then feigned fainting and stumbled towards me. For a moment, we tumbled together. Olivia Chen clutched her foot. "Cousin Sarah, why did you push me? My foot hurts so much." The microphone fell by her foot, and her unintentional whisper echoed throughout the venue. The audience below cast looks of disdain at me. David Carter rushed onto the stage in a panic. Just then, the stage collapsed. Olivia Chen and I were buried together under the steel pipes. She screamed in terror, "Carter, Carter, save me." I felt a sharp pain in my hand. Looking down, I saw a cut on my wrist. Blood flowed freely. I had been afraid of blood since I was a child, and I panicked, wanting to escape but unable to move. David Carter lifted a steel pipe and crawled in. I instinctively called out to him for help. "David Carter, I'm here, save me." He anxiously picked up Olivia Chen and glanced at me. "If you hadn't caused trouble, how would Olivia have been crushed? And you still have the nerve to ask me to save you." In the face of life and death, he wasn't even pretending anymore. I held up my bloody hand. "David Carter, my hand is injured. If I don't get it bandaged at the hospital quickly, I'll die. Please take me to the hospital first, okay?" A flicker of hesitation crossed David Carter's eyes. Olivia Chen clutched his collar and softly whimpered, "Carter, I hurt." He immediately comforted her in a panic. "Don't be afraid, Olivia. I'll take you to the hospital right now." David Carter made to leave. I cried out after him in fear. "David Carter, I'm scared, I'm really going to die. Please take me to the hospital, please." David Carter acted as if he didn't hear me, holding Olivia Chen and rushing forward desperately. Olivia Chen looked back at me and mouthed silently, "You've been abandoned again, Cousin Sarah." Their backs disappeared completely from my sight. I collapsed weakly onto the ground. Being abandoned by others wasn't my fault, but I couldn't abandon myself. Enduring the pain, I pushed away the steel pipe pressing down on me. Finally, I rescued myself. I rushed to the hospital. The wound that should have only required 5 stitches. Because I had ripped it open while moving the steel pipes, it required a painful 18 stitches. On the way to the airport, I paid a large sum to hire a detective to prepare a fake body for me, and to erase any trace of me being alive. I was going to disappear from David Carter's world. The airport announcement indicated the flight to Dubai was about to depart. Pushing my suitcase, I took a final look at Havenwood. "Goodbye, David Carter." At the hospital, David Carter stayed by Olivia Chen's side all night. This morning, the doctor confirmed she was fine, just shaken. Only then did he relax and remember he needed to pick me up from the venue. David Carter hurriedly called his assistant. "Send a car to the county hospital. I need to go to the hotel to pick up Sarah." The assistant's voice on the other end was hesitant. "Boss Carter, madam, she cut her wrists and died." "Died?" The assistant's voice trembled. "The doctor said it was excessive blood loss. The body is in the morgue on the first basement floor of the county hospital." David Carter froze, instinctively denying it. "No, impossible. How could Sarah die? Is she angry and conspired with you to play a trick on me?" He couldn't bear to think about it. Just a few hours ago, I had been perfectly fine standing beside him. How could I be gone now? Olivia Chen's voice weakly called out to him. "Carter, did something happen to Cousin Sarah? It's all my fault. I shouldn't have let you carry me to the hospital." David Carter hung up the phone and said quickly, "It's nothing. I have something urgent to deal with." Olivia Chen reluctantly held his hand. I'm alone in the hospital room. I'm scared. David Carter stroked her head without a word. Olivia, it's really urgent. This was the first time David Carter had refused Olivia Chen's request. For no reason, a feeling of something being lost vaguely seeped into her heart. At the morgue, the assistant pulled back the sheet covering the body. David Carter reached out and touched my pale face. Just 2 days ago, this face had been rosy as it slept nestled in his arms. His fingers traced the corpse's lips. They were cold, without any warmth. The chill seeped into his heart through his fingertips. How could it be suicide by cutting her wrists? The assistant stated solemnly. An employee's bag was left at the venue. When they went to get it this morning, they accidentally found Madame, who had lost excessive blood. She was already deceased when she was sent to the hospital. The doctor diagnosed the cause of death as excessive blood loss. David Carter grabbed the assistant by the shoulders and shouted hysterically. How could there be excessive blood loss? There were so many people at the venue. How did no one find her? Tell me. Tell me. The assistant was shaken dizzy and stammered in response. Everyone thought you were carrying Madam, so they didn't pay attention. David Carter was speechless. For a moment, and the atmosphere instantly solidified. Who would have thought that David Carter, who outwardly loved me deeply, would decisively choose Olivia Chen in the face of life and death? David Carter looked up, defeated. So, I killed Sarah? I killed her, ahaha, it's all me. He cried and laughed, punching his chest repeatedly. The assistant didn't dare stop him and silently covered the body with the sheet again. David Carter fell to the floor, murmuring, "Did Sarah leave me a message?" The assistant handed him my handbag. He opened the bag, and the ruby necklace and engagement ring David Carter had given me spilled onto the floor. Seeing his surprise, the assistant explained softly, "The surveillance footage shows that Madame took off these pieces of jewelry and put them in the bag while she still had strength." Tears flowed uncontrollably from David Carter's eyes. Trembling, he found his phone, unlocked it, and it automatically went to the Notes app page. David Carter, by the time you read this, I'm probably already dead. When Robert Davis publicly proposed to Olivia Chen and abandoned me, I once thought I was the most miserable person in the world. I'm truly grateful to you for descending into my life like a deity. But fate always loves to play tricks. You, who appeared to love me to the bone, were just pretending for Olivia Chen. Finally, I want to say, I'm sorry for making you pretend so hard. I hope we never cross paths in our next lives, and I wish you can make your dream come true and marry Olivia Chen. After reading it, David Carter cursed in a harsh voice. Who told Sarah about Olivia Chen's matter? His eyes were bloodshot, and the surrounding atmosphere was terrifyingly oppressive. The assistant trembled all over. The night before you canceled the engagement party, Madame came to the company to bring you nourishing soup and stayed outside the office door for a long time. He hadn't expected that I had heard all those cruel words. David Carter slapped himself repeatedly on the face as if in retaliation. Ding dong, my phone received a text message. David Carter, his face swollen and red, picked it up and saw it was a message from Olivia Chen. Did you see it yesterday? I told you both Robert Davis and David Carter are just dogs at my feet. They come running when I call. And not just them, I'll steal everything you cherish. He read it and burst into maniacal laughter. A wave of overwhelming regret washed over David Carter. He had hurt me, who loved him so much, for a woman who treated him like a dog. He regretted it. He should have loved me. Dubai. In the scorching summer heat, I covered my head with a headscarf like the locals before going out. As soon as I arrived, I took out all the money from my overseas accounts and started a small studio. The client base was steadily growing, and the studio desperately needed to recruit staff. Just then, my best friend from the US quit her job and wanted to join me. I drove to the airport early to pick her up. As soon as my best friend got into the passenger seat, she started gossiping. Hey, Sarah, you know your cousin, Olivia Chen, right? I nodded gently. What about her? I heard after she divorced that jerk Robert Davis, she went crazy and was locked up in a psychiatric hospital. My best friend said Olivia Chen initially didn't know I was dead and kept sending provoking messages to my phone. Coincidentally, David Carter had the phone at the time. After learning Olivia Chen had played him, he shared the chat history with Robert Davis. He also printed out the list of gifts he had given Olivia Chen over the years and published it all over the city. This entire farce topped the national trending topics for 7 days. My best friend covered her mouth, stifling a laugh. The funniest part is, David Carter's assets shrank significantly after you stopped managing them. Netizens are saying David Carter only became the CEO because you bring good luck/prosperity to her husband's career. I scoffed. It's just jokes. My best friend leaned in seriously. Did you know David Carter tried to marry your corpse? I slammed on the brakes, shocked, and stared at her. Did you just say David Carter tried to marry my corpse? Yeah. If you ask me, he's a maniac. When you loved him, he loved Olivia Chen. When you didn't love him and faked your death, he went crazy and insisted on marrying your corpse. I gasped, my mouth wide open, and asked her, did he succeed in marrying it? My best friend shook her head. I breathed a sigh of relief. I thought, it's such an absurd thing, how could David Carter's parents possibly agree? But then my best friend dropped the real bombshell. David Carter married into your family. Ahaha, didn't see that coming, did you? I froze and instinctively asked, why? My best friend's smile was mischievous. David Carter changed the engagement party into a wedding ceremony. When he brought out that fake body of yours, everyone there was scared stiff. His parents were the first to object, saying if he insisted on marrying, they'd kick him out of the family. But he not only accepted gladly, he even said he was marrying into your family, that he was yours in life and yours in death. Hearing this, it sounded like David Carter did love me. Unfortunately, I didn't love him anymore. A faint smile touched my lips. It's all in the past. My best friend echoed, true. Our baby Sarah deserves better. Yes, I deserve better. I restarted the car and drove to the front of the studio. A handsome man with dark hair and blue eyes walked up. Let me help you with your things. I smiled and nodded. Okay, thank you. My best friend grabbed me, curious. Who's this tall, handsome guy, over 6 feet tall? Guess. My best friend was a little annoyed and slapped me on the butt. I'm serious, tell me. His English name is Ethan, hi. His Chinese name is Ethan Williams, he's a doctor, and his grandmother is from the US. My best friend gave a lewd smile, her eyes darting between Ethan Williams and me. I quickly explained, it's not what you think. Meeting Ethan Williams was a complete accident. I had just arrived in Dubai and was driving to register my studio. Unexpectedly, I accidentally rear-ended his car. In a panic, I blurted out in Chinese, "Are you all right?" Seeing his emerald green eyes, I realized I was overseas and quickly added, "Are you all right?" His chiseled brows furrowed slightly, and his well-defined large hand rubbed his forehead. "I'm fine." My eyes lit up with surprise. "You speak Chinese?" Dealing with traffic accidents abroad is troublesome. Luckily, Ethan Williams was raised by his grandmother and was knowledgeable about Chinese culture and fluent in Chinese. With his help, the insurance process went smoothly. Coincidentally, the office I rented was in his family's building. In the office, I put a band-aid on him. Okay, just be careful not to get it wet for the next few days and eat bland food. Bland food? I gathered the first aid kit and explained, that means no spicy food. Ethan Williams shook his head. The food here in Dubai is all spicy. I can't eat bland food. Considering it was my fault I hit him, I casually said, it's okay. I'll be in charge of your meals for the next few days. Just come over to eat at the right time. Ethan Williams thanked me directly. Okay, thank you. I haven't asked your name yet? Vivian, my name is Vivian. I would bury the name Sarah Miller in the past. With a smile on my face, I put the first aid kit back in the cabinet. After that, Ethan Williams came by often. Over time, we gradually became friends. One day, after dinner, Ethan Williams and I were watching the stars in the patio area. He suddenly pointed to the brightest star in the night sky. Vivian, how about I pluck that star and give it to you? I was a little curious. How can you pluck a star from the sky? He covered my eyes with one hand, his warm breath fanning my ear. Like this. He took his hand away, and a diamond ring appeared before my eyes. Ethan Williams held up the ring and knelt on one knee. Vivian, will you be with me? His eyes were bright, filled with anticipation. I hardened my heart and shook my head. Ethan Williams, I can't. He was a very good person, but I wasn't willing to gamble. Gamble that he wouldn't be the third person to abandon me. Ethan Williams sighed as he put the ring away and smiled. I was too hasty. Next time, I'll wait until you're ready before I propose. I wanted to tell him not to wait, but seeing the hurt look in his eyes from the corner of my eye, I swallowed the words. I gave a faint amen. After that incident, Ethan Williams acted as normal. However, I felt a little guilty about his closeness to me. I hadn't told him my best friend was coming back today, and I didn't know how he found out. He came over eagerly to help. It was too sunny outside. I took my best friend inside to enjoy the air conditioning. When I came back out, I saw Ethan Williams busy moving things, sweat beading on his forehead. I handed him a towel. You worked hard. Wipe off the sweat. The sweat on Ethan Williams's face traced down his Adam's apple, across his chest muscles, abs, and finally disappeared into unseen places. He reached up and touched his forehead, smiling slightly. My hand is a bit sore. Can you help me wipe? A rush of potent pheromones washed over me. Blushing, I stood on tiptoe. Just as the towel was about to touch Ethan Williams's forehead, someone urgently called out, stopping me. Sarah, don't. This familiar yet strange voice, was it David Carter? David Carter rushed forward excitedly. His chin was covered in stubble, and his formerly amber eyes had become clouded. He looked like a homeless man who had just found new clothes. Ethan Williams shielded me and asked him, Who are you? I'm her fiancé, the man she loves most. David Carter stared at me longingly. Sarah, quickly tell him, I'm your fiancé. I shook my head and grabbed Ethan Williams's hand. He's a crazy person who's mistaken me for someone else. Let's go. David Carter shouted uncontrollably. Sarah, you can't abandon me. Do you know that in the months you were gone, I held that corpse every day, drifting through life in a daze? If that corpse hadn't decomposed and started to smell, and the disguise on its face hadn't fallen off, I would still think you were dead right now. Tears welled up in his eyes and spilled out one by one. A look of post-disaster survival spread across his face as he continued. Thank God. Thank God you're not dead. When I heard your best friend bought a ticket to Dubai, I guessed you must be hiding here. And indeed, you are. But why are you pretending not to know me? David Carter's eyes were filled with confusion, tears streaming down like a flood. It was the first time I had ever seen him cry. Before, I would have felt heartbroken. But now, my heart felt nothing. I even wondered if he was putting on a show of deep affection again. I stared at him calmly, saying nothing. Ethan Williams whispered in my ear, It's hot outside. Go inside first. I'll handle this. After saying that, he turned and blocked David Carter. You've got the wrong person. Her name is Vivian, not Sarah like you said. David Carter didn't believe him and shouted in despair. Sarah, I was wrong. I was truly wrong. I've completely cut off all ties with Olivia Chen now. Please forgive me. Ethan Williams kept pushing him away, repeatedly explaining. She's Vivian, you've really got the wrong person. No, she's Sarah, she's my Sarah Miller. I covered my ears and ran into the house without looking back. My best friend quickly stood up and asked, What's wrong? David Carter is here. My best F. Rianne's eyes widened in shock, and she said panicked, What are we going to do? A crazy person who would even marry your corpse after you died will definitely not let you go when he knows you're alive. I thought for a moment, then grabbed my best friend's hand. Let's swap clothes. Tomorrow morning, you change back into your own clothes. When David Carter asks, just say you don't know anything. My best friend nodded frantically. I changed into her clothes and secretly slipped out through the back door. Since David Carter was in Dubai, I would go back to the US. Just as I was about to go through the gate at the airport, my suitcase unexpectedly got stuck and wouldn't budge. I was getting anxious, and the passengers behind me looked impatient. Suddenly, a large, well-defined hand reached out from beside me and lifted the suitcase. I looked up, surprised, and exclaimed, "Ethan Williams, how did you get here?" "There's a medical exchange invitation for me in the US. I happen to be coming with you." He said it so frankly. I didn't think too much of it, assuming it was just another coincidence. The plane landed in the US. I didn't have any plans for this trip back, so I just followed Ethan Williams. I didn't expect that his exchange schedule included a visit to a psychiatric hospital. I walked in with a group of academic experts. The director specifically came to find Ethan Williams. "Young lady, I need to borrow Ethan for a moment. Is that okay?" I nodded, smiling politely. "Of course." Before Ethan Williams left, he didn't forget to instruct me. "I'll be back soon." I chuckled, covering my mouth, and nodded repeatedly. "Okay, I'll be right here waiting for you." Ethan Williams was pulled away by the director, looking back at me every few steps. I felt a bit bored in the conference room, so I went outside to the garden area to get some fresh air. Unexpectedly, I ran into Olivia Chin. She was holding a small stick and smiled blankly at me. "Cousin Sarah, you're not dead?" I smiled and stepped back. "No." She blinked her confused eyes and asked, "Then what are you doing here?" "A friend came here for an exchange program. I just tagged along." She smoothed her messy hair and looked at me seriously. "Cousin Sarah, you're lying. I saw you come in with a handsome foreigner." Olivia Chin said this, then burst into maniacal laughter. "Ahaha, Cousin Sarah, are you enjoying seeing me like this right now?" I didn't say anything. I cautiously moved my steps, inching closer and closer to the stairs. After she finished laughing, Olivia Chin seemed to be reminiscing. "Cousin Sarah, why do you have a better life than me? You got into a good company right after graduation, had a good job, and your boyfriend was rich and attentive. Why couldn't I have that?" I replied calmly, "What's so good about it? Didn't David Carter and Robert Davis both love you?" She scoffed. "Love? You say they love me? Ahaha, that's hilarious." I was a little confused. Olivia Chin continued, looking pained. "Do you know what David Carter did to me after he found out you were dead?" I shook my head. Her expression was frenzied. "He found another woman for Robert Davis, tied me up in the closet, and made me watch my husband in another woman's explicit scene with my own eyes. He used his power to force Robert Davis to divorce me. Everyone was laughing at me, laughing that it didn't matter if I stole your man. I still couldn't keep him." Those words were like knives stabbing my heart. Do you understand? Seeing her emotions escalating, I gently tried to calm her down. "Just calm down." "How can I calm down? Tell me, how can I calm down?" Olivia Chin shrieked hysterically. "If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have ended up like this. How dare you have such a good life, still making David Carter unable to forget you even after you're dead. You be *tch. I want you dead." After she said that, she pulled a bottle of sulfuric acid from behind her back. I fled in a panic. Olivia Chin uncapped the bottle and laughed like a ghost. "Cousin Sarah, don't run." I kept running, urgently warning her, "Olivia Chin, if you do this, it's against the law and you'll go to jail." "Go to jail? I'm going to die with you, why would I care about jail?" She laughed maniacally, chasing after me. I was running desperately and accidentally stepped on a stone, falling to the ground. Olivia Chin approached step by step. The moment the sulfuric acid was thrown, a shadow suddenly appeared in front of me. I murmured, "David Carter?" He endured the pain, touching my face. "Sarah, I won't let you die again." Olivia Chin realized she had thrown it at the wrong person and screamed, dropping the bottle. "I wanted to splash Sarah Miller, not you, not you." The commotion attracted medical staff. David Carter was urgently sent to the county hospital for emergency treatment. Olivia Chin was taken away by the police. Ethan Williams rushed over in a panic, examining me from head to toe. Vivian, are you okay? I shook my head blankly. David Carter blocking the sulfuric acid for me had shocked me. Did he love me? Coming back to my senses, I grabbed Ethan Williams and pleaded with him. Ethan Williams, can you help me find the best doctor for him? A trace of bitterness flickered in Ethan Williams's eyes, but he agreed. Okay, Vivian. I'll arrange for the best hospital to save him. I nodded blankly. Seeing my state, Ethan Williams quickly took me back to the hotel. The next day, Ethan Williams knocked on my door. Vivian, David Carter is out of danger. Do you want to go see him at the hospital? I rubbed my tired eyes. Okay, let's go now. In the car, Ethan Williams couldn't help but ask me, Vivian, there's an old saying in the US, a life saved is a debt that must be repaid. Will you repay him with yourself? I was a little surprised. Ethan Williams actually knew that. I reached out and intertwined my fingers with his. Do you understand the answer now? I understand. He gripped my hand tightly, unable to stop smiling foolishly. Vivian, I still prefer to tell you in plain language, I love you very much. I couldn't help but smile. I softly hemmed. Entering the hospital room, David Carter was conscious, lying on his stomach in bed. His eyes swept over Ethan Williams and me, our hands clasped, and his smile immediately froze. Sarah, you've come to see me. I led Ethan Williams to him, and we both bowed to David Carter. Thank you for saving me. Ethan Williams also echoed, thank you for saving the woman I love. David Carter's eyes turned red. Sarah, I was wrong before. I'm sorry. But please give me a chance. I shook my head and said coldly, David Carter, from the moment you gave the achievements I worked so hard to create to Olivia Chin, there was no longer any possibility for us. What's more, later, when my wrist was injured and I begged you repeatedly to save me, you decisively chose Olivia Chin. There's even less possibility between us now. David Carter closed his eyes, and tears flowed down his cheeks. Sarah, I woke up too late. I hurt you for that B*TCH. I'm sorry. Sarah Miller died the day the stage collapsed and you chose Olivia Chin. My name is Vivian. I said seriously, then looked up at Ethan Williams. He understood and led me out. Just as we reached the door, David Carter's heartbreaking voice came from behind us. Sarah, if I hadn't abandoned you for Olivia Chin that day, would you have been with me? I didn't look back and replied calmly, no. Because I hate deception, and you were deceiving me from the start. After returning to Dubai, Ethan Williams couldn't wait to propose to me. I smiled happily. Yes. He gently placed a ring on my hand. It was a plain band, with no diamond, representing pure love, and also representing that self-love is the begin ing of true romance. Later, I accidentally overheard my best friend's friends from the US gossiping. David Carter's life was saved, but his back injury was too severe, and he would be confined to bed for the rest of his life. Olivia Chin was judged to have faked her mental illness and was sentenced to life imprisonment for attempted murder with grievous bodily harm. Meanwhile, Ethan Williams and I were expecting our second child. Our first was a son, and this time he was incredibly hoping for a daughter. Just got home from work, and he was already cradling my belly and calling out, Daughter, daughter, can you hear Daddy's voice? Daddy is home from work to keep you company. I laughed so hard my belly jiggled. What if it's a son? Ethan Williams didn't reply, stubbornly insisting it would definitely be a daughter. Later, it really was a daughter. Fulfilling his wish for a daughter.